All right, moving on along. I'm going to attempt to film this video without my computer dying. I don't feel like plugging it in. I'm probably going to regret it, but this is going to be my last video of the night. So, all right, so before we go any further, this is Heather here with Underwater Panther. I need to anchor where we are in the series because without this context, Capricorn or the ISTJ gets misread more than almost any other archetype. So, in the last video, we established something foundational. Polarity is not gender, it's function under pressure. And in the video, immediately before this one, we named the missing piece that explains why polarity collapses, distorts, or turns toxic. So, I did let you guys know that my last ebook is available for purchase. I have made 12 videos on the most masculine to the most feminine archetypes and how they carry moral weight. So that is available for purchase. You can check that out in the description below. And my prior video to this one was the bridge video in between that and now talking about containment. So check that out if you are confused. I will do a little recap here. So we are talking about containment. Containment is not control, it is not repression, it is not emotional labor, and it is not avoidance. Containment is the structure that allows power, care, responsibility, and emotion to exist without destroying the system they are inside of. So now we are moving from theory into embodiment. This next phase of the series breaks down how containment works differently for each archetype, starting with the one most often accused of being cold, rigid, or authoritarian, especially in their parenting style, and often most misunderstood. So, Capricorn, the ISTJ. I'm going to pull up your key card that I created many years ago. Hopefully that is big enough. Let me blow it up a little more. All right, so this video is about Capricorn or the ISTJ. Why can I not click on that? There we go. All righty. All right, so we're going to recap moral weight from the last Capricorn video, so do check that out. So, in the moral weight episode, we established something critical about Capricorn or the ISTJ. Capricorn is the archetype that carries consequence, not preference, not intention, not emotion, consequence. Capricorn tracks what fails if no one acts, what degrades over time, what collapses quietly while everyone else argues about fairness, what the future will demand regardless of how anyone feels today. This is why Capricorn often becomes the load bearer, not because they seek authority, but because reality selects them. Now, I am in a Capricorn stellium. My moon, my Neptune, let's see, Uranus, Saturn, midheaven. I have, like, most of my personality is Capricorn or the ISTJ. So I am not only talking from research, I am talking about every single day, every single minute of personal experience with experiencing this energy. So it is very heavy, it is very dense, it is very morally load weight. I feel like the whole weight of the world is on my shoulders at all times. I'm extremely responsible. I am very masculine. It is what it is. It's my computer is going to die. I'm at 10%. Okay, I gotta speed this up here before my computer dies. All right, so Capricorn is the load bearer. When something must be done or everything falls apart, Capricorn steps in. And here's the key point from the prior Capricorn video. Capricorn does not gain moral weight from being liked. Capricorn gains moral weight from being reliable under pressure. That's the moral foundation we're building on. Now we add containment, because moral weight without containment turns into exhaustion, rigidity, or withdrawal. So Capricorn isn't cold. Let me know if you've been called cold. They are not very emotionally expressive. They're not very relationally expressive. They are all about systems. Very systemic. They've got Saturn as their ruler. It is just a thing. So Capricorn is what happens when someone has been carrying consequence alone for too long. They normally grow up very quickly. They don't ever really have a childhood. Everyone realizes that they are extremely responsible, and so a lot of the responsibility falls on Capricorn. When you've been the person who cleans up what others abandon, holds timelines others ignore, absorbs fallout others deny, thinks 5 steps ahead while everyone else is focused on how they feel right now. Capricorns are extremely logical. They're very future focused. Yeah. So you don't become soft. You become precise. Not because you lack emotion, but because emotion alone does not hold systems together. Capricorn hardens when consequence is real and containment is missing. So my best friend actually had me do her child's birth chart because she could not figure out what was going on with her daughter. And I was like, I got you, girl. I am very much Capricorn myself, and I understand the lack of emotional expression. Your child's going to be okay. let me explain her cognition. They are extremely misunderstood because they're introverted. They're introverted. They are not emotionally expressive. They're extremely ambitious, and it's just hard to figure them out. They don't let many people in. So, containment for Capricorn is legitimate authority, not emotional access, not appeasement, not endless processing, not compliance with chaos. Capricorn does not feel safe in systems where responsibility is infinite, accountability is optional, authority is denied to the person carrying the weight, and outcomes still land on them anyway. This is not collaboration, this is structural exploitation. Capricorn integrates when effort equals authority, when the person doing the work is allowed to shape the structure that holds it. I'm going to have to plug my computer in actually because I'm not going to make it. So give me one moment. I am not going to edit this. I'm going to have to get up and actually plug my computer in. So give me one moment, please. You can fast forward at your own desire. Actually, you know what? I could probably plug it in right here. Just give me a moment. I do have a power cord right here, thankfully. Oh, thank gosh, it's gonna work. All right, hopefully I didn't crash everything. All right, cool. We're still rolling. All right, we're plugged in. Good deal. All right, so why Capricorn or the ISTJ is misread. So here is the distortion that happens culturally. People assume warmth equals care and firmness equals cruelty. Capricorn knows better. Care without structure burns out. Care without limits collapses. Care without authority becomes resentment. So Capricorn learns early, often painfully, that someone has to prioritize stability over sentiment. And when they do, they get labeled controlling, cold, rigid, or intimidating. But what's actually happening is this: Capricorn is refusing to absorb unmanaged responsibility. Control versus containment. This is a very critical clarification. So this matters more than almost any other distinction in this series. Control is trying to dictate outcomes because nothing else is holding the system. Containment is building structure so outcomes don't require force. Capricorn does not start controlling. Capricorn starts containing. Control emerges only after containment fails. When rules are flexible until it's inconvenient. Rules are vague, but expectations are high. Accountability is emotional instead of structural. Responsibility quietly slides downhill. Capricorn compensates. They enforce what should have been respected. They manage what should have been governed. They restrict access to prevent further collapse. Control is not the desire, it is the emergency response. Emotional shutdown. Capricorn's emotional shutdown is often mistaken for lack of care. It isn't. It's boundary compression. In environments where every emotion becomes a negotiation, every boundary is argued, every consequence must be softened, and every expression invites more responsibility. Capricorn learns that emotional openness increases load, not support. So they go quiet, they go internal, they become contained, not to punish, but to survive. This is emotional conservation. So they emotionally conserve themselves, not emotional absence. So Capricorn certainly is an introvert, and they certainly already are not very emotionally expressive, but they are extremely responsible, they're extremely loyal. And I often get accused of shutting down and not being emotionally expressive, but that does not mean that I have emotionally changed my mind. I am literally just trying to contain and hold the accountability and the structure of whatever is going on. So it can be very confusing for those that are very relational, very expressive. Fire signs are very expressive with their emotions. Water signs are very expressive with their emotions. And so when a Capricorn shuts down, it's not because of lack of love. It's because, oh my God, I have to hold this together, is the feeling. They're always the glue holding everything together. And it is confusing for those who do not understand moral weight bearing, especially like the very feminine signs are not going to understand what is going on. They're going to see it as, oh my God, they are not with me, they're not connected to me emotionally, and that is normally not the case. So when containment exists, Capricorn changes. They become warmer, more humorous, more generous, and more emotionally available because they are no longer guarding against collapse. The false accusation. Capricorn is often accused of being emotionally unavailable, power hungry, and controlling. But what people are really reacting to is this: Capricorn refusing to be the silent backbone of dysfunction. Capricorn refusing to emotionally subsidize chaos. Capricorn refusing to pretend that feelings replace structure. This is not cruelty, this is moral adulthood. Capricorn does not need more emotion. They need fewer people leaking responsibility into their lap. They don't need to soften, they need systems that hold. So when consequence is respected, Capricorn becomes the safest archetype in the room, not because they dominate, not because they control, but because they hold. They build structures that last. They protect futures people can't see yet. They absorb pressure so others don't break under it. Capricorn is not the enemy of warmth. They are what makes warmth survivable. So, why Capricorn is misunderstood? They are one of the most misunderstood because modern culture is allergic to consequence. We live in a time that prioritizes intention over impact, feeling over function, expression over responsibility, hello, virtue signaling, flexibility over durability. Capricorn operates on the opposite axis. Capricorn asks, what breaks if no one acts? What degrades slowly while people argue? Who will still be here when the mood passes? What will the future demand regardless of how this feels today? That perspective makes Capricorn look cold in a culture that confuses warmth with care and softness with safety. But Capricorn is not oriented towards comfort. Capricorn is oriented towards continuity. So, Capricorn is not power seeking, it is power assigned. One of the biggest myths about Capricorn or the ISTJ is that it wants authority. Most Capricorns do not seek leadership, leadership seeks them. Capricorn becomes powerful because they show up when others disappear. They are a finisher type. They are certainly see it through. They will see whatever they are working on all the way through. They track consequences others deny. They take responsibility others defer. They finish what others abandon. Over time, people begin to rely on them, and that's where the distortion starts. Because responsibility accumulates faster than authority is granted. Capricorn ends up carrying systems that they did not design, fixing problems they did not create, and absorbing fallout they did not cause, all while being denied the right to restructure what keeps failing. They're extremely scholarly in their healthy version of themselves, very scholarly, very systematic. They love studying, they love understanding systems, just like Aquarius or the INTJ. They're very future oriented. They're caring generationally. They're thinking foundationally. They love architecture as well. They are all about origins, figuring out where we came from, history. They're extreme history buffs. Um, they know that what has happened in the past will happen again. They see patterns. And they're just extremely, very responsible human beings, thinking generationally. So, because responsibility accumulates faster than authority is granted, Capricorn ends up carrying systems that they did not design. So, that this is not power, this is burden without legitimacy. And that is the precise condition under which Capricorn hardens. They are the backbone. They are the skeletal structure holding our bodies together. They are the backbone of wherever they are, family, the corporate world. Yeah. So the core truth most people miss, but they're also introverted, so they're normally not going to put themselves out there. I really sat here and tried to think of any Capricorns that I follow, like on YouTube or anywhere publicly, and I only know of one. A lot of the archetypes that are pushing content out are like Aries, Sagittarius, um Leos. There's a lot of Leos, the extroverted. So Capricorn are introverted. They don't want to be the face. They don't actually want leadership or authority. They would prefer to be behind the scenes, organizing, you know, It's very interesting, but they are certainly out there holding everything together, whether you see them or not. So, yes, absolutely wild. Capricorn does not need control, they need alignment. Alignment between effort and authority, responsibility and decision making, accountability and consequence. So they are extremely duty based. You will find them in military, you will find them in doing police work, lawyers. Not so much. Let me think about lawyers. I would say like a Sag ego with Capricorn Mercury. Yeah, I know a lawyer. Actually, my own lawyer is a Sag with Capricorn Mercury. That's kind of hilarious. Yeah, they're just very duty based, and um, it's a thing. So, when Capricorn is held responsible without being empowered, containment collapses. And when they're very scholarly, I actually know a couple that are an Aries and Capricorn couple. They do a lot of research, they do a lot of writing, they do some video work. But I just heard something weird. Anyway, when Capricorn is held responsible without being empowered, containment collapses. And when containment collapses, Capricorn compensates. That compensation is what people label as control. So control is not the desire, it is the symptom. Here is the consequence, or here is the sequence most people do not understand. So number 1, Capricorn enters a system trying to stabilize it. This has been my own process my entire life. I get so absolutely frustrated. I have jumped around so many different career choices in my college years. I get into a system and I'm like, well, this is stupid. Why are we doing it like this? They are going to get into a system and understand it from the bottom up and top down. They will figure it all out and be like, wow, this is not efficient. This is not organized. What is going on here? Very frustrating. So Capricorn enters a system trying to stabilize it. Number 2, Capricorn notices structural gaps others ignore. Number 3, Capricorn quietly fills those gaps to prevent collapse. Others become accustomed to Capricorn absorbing the load. Boundaries blur, roles soften, accountability diffuses. Capricorn begins enforcing what should have been respected. Capricorn gets labeled as controlling. But control is not step 1, it is step 7. Control emerges only after responsibility has been unevenly distributed, authority has been withheld, and consequences have continued anyway. Capricorn is not obsessed with power. That would be Scorpio. FYI. Anyway, Capricorn is allergic to structural negligence. Why Capricorn shuts down emotionally and why it's rational. Capricorn's emotional containment is one of the most misunderstood traits. People assume emotional openness equals trust. Capricorn knows emotional openness often equals increased liability. In dysfunctional systems, expressing concern becomes an invitation to fix. Naming risk becomes a moral obligation to prevent it. Caring openly means carrying more load. So Capricorn learns to compress emotion, not because they don't feel, but because feeling openly increases load. This is not emotional deficiency, it is load management. Capricorn is not emotionally absent, they are emotionally selective. They only have so much emotional bandwidth. They open where responsibility is shared, follow through exists, boundaries are honored, and emotion does not automatically convert into obligation. Why Capricorn feels intimidating. Capricorn feels intimidating because they are internally referenced. They do not need constant validation, adjust their standards to soothe others, dilute truth to maintain comfort, perform morality for approval. They measure themselves against consequence, not consensus. That internal standard creates a quiet gravity. People who rely on external permission, emotional leverage, ambiguity, or moral theater feel exposed around Capricorn. Not because Capricorn attacks, but because Capricorn doesn't collude. The great lie about Capricorn, they lack care. Oh, God. This is Aquarius and Capricorn both have this like stigma, and they are extremely deeply caring people. They're just not expressive. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. I understand that so deeply. This is one of the most damaging misunderstandings. Capricorn does not lack care. Capricorn prioritizes sustainable care. They understand something most people don't want to face. Care without structure is not kindness. It is delayed harm. Capricorn cares about systems lasting. People not burning out. Futures not collapsing. Children not paying for adult avoidance. They express care through consistency, preparation, reliability, and restraint, which looks invisible in a culture addicted to performance. When Capricorn is integrated, what people rarely see. When containment is present, when roles are clear, rules are enforced, and responsibility is shared, Capricorn transforms. They become dry humored. I have such a dry sense of humor. It's ridiculous. Deadpan. You can call it deadpan humor. Deeply loyal, quietly protective. You know, Capricorns and Aquariuses are some of the absolutely most loyal personality types. Do not get it twisted. Please don't. Surprisingly tender, generous without resentment. This is the Capricorn people fall in love with. But this version only emerges when Capricorn is not being structurally exploited. What Capricorn is falsely accused of. Capricorn is accused of being cold when they are conserving capacity, being controlling when they are enforcing neglected structure, being rigid when flexibility would cause collapse, being unemotional when emotion would increase load, being power hungry when they are burdened, saturated. These accusations come most often from people who benefit from Capricorn's containment while resenting its boundaries. The deepest truth. Capricorn does not want to dominate life. Capricorn wants to hold. They are the archetype that steps forward when no one else will carry consequence. The future is at risk, and stability matters more than popularity. They are the quiet scaffolding of civilization. And when that scaffolding is respected, Capricorn becomes one of the safest, most stabilizing forces in any room. So Capricorn doesn't need more emotion. Capricorn doesn't need to soften. Capricorn doesn't need to explain itself. Capricorn needs shared responsibility, honored structure, legitimate authority, and consequences that don't land on them alone. When those exist, Capricorn stops hardening and starts protecting. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I've got a whole bunch of notes here, but okay, so I do want to get into Capricorn by gender. All right, so let's talk about Capricorn women first. They're considered too much because they carry what others avoid. Capricorn women are not harsh by temperament. They are not naturally rigid, unemotional, or severe. What people mistake for coldness is almost always compression. The psychological compression that occurs when someone has been required to carry consequence without relief for too long. From a young age, many Capricorn women are placed into environments where stability is missing. My younger years. They are handed responsibility early, not as a choice, but as a necessity. Emotional adulthood is expected of them before emotional safety is provided. They are often positioned as structural anchors inside dysfunctional families, workplaces, or relational systems, expected to organize, regulate, plan, remember, and stabilize without ever being formally recognized as leaders or protected as such. This creates a kind of invisible authority, power without title, responsibility without permission, and labor without legitimacy. Over time, Capricorn women learn a devastating but efficient lesson. If they don't handle it, it won't get handled. So they stop waiting for approval. They develop internal authority instead of external permission. They choose emotional restraint instead of emotional leakage because leaking emotion has never solved the problem in front of them. They think long term rather than appeasing in the moment because they've seen what happens when short-term comfort destroys long-term stability. And then society does something deeply paradoxical and quietly cruel. It punishes them for the very stability it depends on. Capricorn women are labeled cold because they refuse to perform softness on demand. They are called intimidating because they are self-contained rather than porous. They are accused of being controlling because they enforce standards instead of negotiating reality away. They are deemed unfeminine because they prioritize consequence over comfort, structure over sentiment, and continuity over chaos. But the truth that almost no one wants to articulate is this: Capricorn women are very often the only adults in the room. They are not trying to dominate others, they are trying to prevent collapse. Emotional, financial, familial, and institutional. Their seriousness is not a power grab. It is a load-bearing response to systems that leak responsibility downward until someone finally absorbs it. When a Capricorn woman eventually shuts down emotionally, it is rarely because she lacks feeling. It is almost always because her care has been quietly exploited, her labor normalized as just who she is, her boundaries repeatedly tested or ignored, and her authority endlessly relied upon but never formally acknowledged. Emotional shutdown becomes not cruelty but containment, a final protective boundary when nothing else has worked. Capricorn women soften not when they are demanded to. Good luck with that. But when the environment finally becomes safe enough to allow it. They relax when responsibility is shared instead of silently transferred. They open when roles are explicit rather than assumed. They warm when follow through exists and promises mean something again. And they finally rest when they are no longer required to mother systems, people, institutions, or dynamics that refuse to mature. When those conditions are met, Capricorn women are deeply warm, unexpectedly playful, dry humored, loyal to the bone, and profoundly protective. Their care is not flashy, but it is enduring. They have the highest endurance out of all of the personality types. I will tell you that right now. Their love is not loud, but is structurally sound. Softness does not disappear in Capricorn women. It simply waits for containment to hold. So yeah, it can be extremely hard for Capricorn women to find a masculine man. Capricorn women are the most masculine women. And so it can be extremely frustrating trying to find someone that can match that. I will tell you that right now. I am normally the most structural, moral weight, load bearing, masculine person in the room. So I get you. I get you. All right, Capricorn men. Authority without containment creates rigidity. Capricorn men face a different distortion, one that often looks like strength from the outside but feels isolating from within. They're frequently raised with the assumption that authority should be granted automatically, that responsibility equals worth, that emotional restraint is synonymous with strength, and that endurance can replace intimacy. Many Capricorn men are taught to carry weight without ever being taught how to distribute it. They are told to be responsible without being shown how to share power without losing legitimacy. They are expected to lead without being taught how to receive support. So neither men nor women Capricorns will ask for help. They are encouraged to harden without being taught how to soften safely. They're asked to perform steadiness without being given relational containment to lean into when the load becomes heavy. As a result, many Capricorn men internalize harsh, unforgiving equations. If I fail, I am the failure. If I rest, everything collapses. If I show vulnerability, I lose authority. These beliefs do not arise from cruelty, they arise from fear of collapse in the absence of structural safety. This creates rigidity not because Capricorn men want to dominate, but because they are terrified of letting go of the one thing they believe keeps everything intact. When distorted, Capricorn men can become emotionally distant, excessively task focused. Both men and women are extremely task focused. Capricorns, they see life in check boxes, as do I. Sticky notes, check boxes. I have to get this done. I am the type of person that I will write a 200-page book and immediately go on to the next huge project. I have written a 500-page book, 200-page book, 300-page book back to back to back with no celebration in between. There is so much work to be done. That is just how we operate. All right. So, excessively task focused for both, but yeah, intolerant of an inefficiency and suspicious of emotional expression, not because they don't care, but because emotion has never been framed as something that could coexist with authority rather than threaten it. What they were never taught is relational containment. The idea that authority does not weaken when it is shared, that leadership does not evaporate when support is accepted, and that structure can be both firm and humane. When Capricorn men integrate, the shift is unmistakable. They become steady rather than severe, authoritative without domination, principled without punishment, protective without emotional withdrawal. Their presence stabilizes rather than intimidates, and their leadership invites trust instead of compliance. They thrive in environments where responsibility is acknowledged rather than silently assumed, where leadership is shared rather than extracted, and where authority is paired with trust instead of fear. When that happens, Capricorn men stop hardening and start leading in a way that actually lasts. All right, so we're going to go through the 4 ego sections. This is my key card I've had up here this entire time. I'm now going to break it down briefly. And so you're looking at the ego, the ruler, exaltation, left field, and fall astrologically, and the hero, parent, child, and inferior cognitive functions psychologically. So the ego is broken down into 4 sections according to astrology and psychology. Now, you can apply this to your ego, you can apply it to your Mercury, you can apply it to if you have a lot of this energy. I am a stellium, so most of my energy and my personality is this. So, just an FYI. So, to understand why Capricorn carries such extraordinary moral weight, you have to look at its internal architecture. This archetype is heavy not because it wants to be, but because every one of its core functions is oriented towards preventing failure over time. So, this archetype feels heavy even when silent. The most heavy freaking personality type. Constantly feeling like they are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. All right, so we're going to start with TE parent, extroverted thinking parent with Mars and exaltation. Structural containment. So, TE parent in Capricorn is not about domination or micromanagement. It is about functionality under pressure. These functions constantly scans reality, asking what works, what breaks, what is sustainable, what has actually proven reliable over time. So TE parent rises to prominence in Capricorn because this archetype is often embedded in chaotic environments. Hello, Mars. Places marked by emotional volatility, poorly designed systems, inconsistent rules, and avoidance disguised as flexibility. When no one else is willing to define structure, TE parent steps forward to contain reality itself. When this function is ignored or undermined, Capricorn tightens. When it is respected and supported, Capricorn relaxes almost instantly. This is the central containment axis of the archetype. Respect for structure equals psychological safety. Let me actually let's see here. I have not actually made this ego book yet. Capricorn is actually going to be next on my 200 plus book for the ego. I am going to get Capricorn done next. That I'm searching here in my notes. Oops, quickly. Let me think about this. Who have I done last? Scorpio. All right, give me one moment because I want to actually dive a little deeper into what I've written in my notes here. Give me one moment. This might actually take me longer than I would like, but you can always click ahead and I will put timestamps up here. I am searching through my other book that has extroverted thinking broken down very deeply. So give me a moment here. I gotta find the table of contents. I'm searching through a 500-page book right now. Give me a moment. There it is. All right, so extroverted thinking. I do want to break this down a little bit more. All right, so extroverted thinking is an objective judgment function. So it deals with rationale and it's more about researching and beliefs. TE, extroverted thinking, makes decisions based on rationale. It approaches and structures things in rational ways for the sake of understanding science, utility through technology, or maintaining external order. instating laws and rules. So they are about following the freaking rules, unlike some other personality types. They want to do things correctly. So it carves, okay, so TE squarely comes from the left side of the brain, which is characteristically is logical, analytical, systematic, and explicit in its workings. It carves up the perceived world into pieces and proceeds to analyze each piece on its own terms. The better each system is understood and rationally delineated, the more amenable it becomes to prediction, control, and manipulation. So they do certainly understand what has happened in the past will happen again. So it makes the user want to impact the outside world by affecting as many people as possible. Implements act on my formula. So, for example, CEOs creates a system for all to use, seems moral to them on the FI axis. So we will get into introverted feeling after this. Internally, emotionally fueled. So they are deeply, deeply caring, deeply caring. They're just not expressive about it. All right. So TE, extroverted thinking, is segmenting and organizing for efficiency. They're all about efficiency in systems. Systematizing, applying logic through rationale, structuring, checking for consequences, monitoring for standards or specifications being met, setting boundaries, guidelines, parameters, deciding if something is working or not, measuring and constructing for progress, cares how it impacts the outside. TE users have less patience for pondering and mulling over decisions, but like to come up with quick, workable plans that they can enforce or get done right away. Good at delegating and organizing people to make plans and ideas get accomplished. Dominants are take charge leaders and understand systems to be able to predict, control, and manipulate them. So they are actually pretty domineering, not by choice. They're constantly looking to validate the formula in their environment. So they do make decisions quicker than introverted thinking users. So when they understand that a system is flawed, they immediately want to take action and fix it. So they are sensitive to public. They do care about they're all about respect. They want respect. They certainly, I would even say, demand respect. They want to maintain outer control. They want efficiency to be up to date. So they can be OCD with their environment as well as whatever they are organizing. For me, it is books, notes, studying, researching every single day. I am an extreme freaking researcher. I'm always, when I do research, I tend to update all of the books that I have on my website. If I come across new research, I will update my books. So certainly like to be up to date. They are all about the scientific method. They are the natural scientist. All about optimal results, solutions oriented. So they are the natural scientist, very process oriented, seeks the world in hierarchies of systems, very methodical, perfectionistic, extremely perfectionistic. They think in linear sequences. They can be very blunt, harsh, and tactless. They are very blunt, I will say that. They do not, they care about truth. They are not going to emotionally comfort you. They're going to be very blunt about truth. They love reading, gathering credentials. They want others to think highly of them. So very objective, results oriented, decision making function, extroverted thinking. So it evaluates information based on measurable logic, external evidence, proven methods, and the practical effectiveness of a system. So extroverted thinking looks outward. It is an extroverted function, drawing on established data, authority, consensus, and observable outcomes. They're very outcome based. Its goal is simple: what works, what is efficient, what produces the best, most predictable result. So, TE organizes reality by breaking large problems into clear, manageable pieces. It structures, categorizes, systematizes, and creates step by step processes that can be followed, understood, and applied by others. This gives TE users a natural talent for leadership, coordination, planning, and delegation. They excel at taking messy, disordered situations and turning them into something functional and productive. TE wants progress, improvement, and results and wants them now. All right, so I could go on and on and on. They're very strategic. I do want to say that. Very grounded, strategic, and incredibly effective. All right, so they're very good at managing systems, building structures, enforcing boundaries, and driving collective outcomes. This is the function behind entrepreneurs, organizers, CEOs, military strategists, engineers, and anyone who thrives in systemic environments. So they can become very rigid, authoritarian, over-controlling, and disconnected from emotional nuance. Because it prioritizes external logic over personal feelings, it may appear harsh or dismissive. High TE users can become obsessed with efficiency, perfectionism, hierarchy, majority opinion, or credentials. So TE plays a critical role in human functioning. It allows us to build, coordinate, execute, and upgrade. It transforms ideas into plans and plans into reality. When integrated, extroverted thinking brings courage, clarity, organization, and leadership, helping individuals not only understand the world, but actively shape it. In personality development, the key is balancing TE's efficiency with emotional awareness, so its power becomes constructive rather than domineering. So I could go on and on, but that is all I'm going to say about extroverted thinking right now. But it is extremely important to understand that within Capricorn. That is how I operate in the deepest levels of myself every single day. All right, so now we're going to get into introverted sensing hero. Consequence memory. SI hero is Capricorn's moral archive. It remembers what others conveniently forget. It tracks what happened last time, who failed to show up, which promises collapsed, and where systems cracked under pressure. This is why Capricorn does not just move on. They are not holding grudges, they are holding evidence. Filing cabinets upon filing cabinets upon filing cabinets of evidence. Archived evidence, you best believe. SI Hero makes Capricorn future oriented by refusing to erase the past. It prevents repetition of harm by insisting that patterns be acknowledged rather than denied. Those who rely on denial feel exposed by this function. Those who value continuity feel profoundly protected by it. So I am going to open this up one more time because this is also a very important function of Capricorn. Give me 1 second here. I didn't actually think I was going to go this in depth, but it's important. All right, so this is where you get your colder earth energy, is introverted sensing, as well as Saturn. So, SI represents past loyalty, honor, and duty. Passive and involuntarily records and collects information. Unconsciously receives info and comes to conclusions. So it is the archive of the soul, the body's memory, and the keeper of the past. Introverted sensing is one of the 4 perceiving functions. It does not judge, decide, or choose. It absorbs, records, and preserves. Introversion. It is the internal hard drive of the psyche, storing experiences, sensations, impressions, emotional memories, believe it or not, bodily reactions, trauma patterns, routines, safety cues, and familiarity. So Capricorns are extremely routine by nature, to a fault, loyal and routine by nature. Where other functions interpret or create, SI simply captures reality as it was. It is passive. It can be. So the cold earth energy is grounding, stabilizing, practical, and historical. All right. So we have the SI and NE, past versus possibility. So SI represents the past, extroverted intuition, inferior represents possibility. So SI represents what was, and NE represents what could be. So this axis governs memory versus imagination, stability versus novelty, routine versus exploration, caution versus potential, and tradition versus innovation. So Capricorn has NE in the inferior, so that is where their future anxiety comes from. They can tend to be very tunnel vision and not open to, they can be very focused on their goal. They are extremely focused on their goals. They will have one or a few goals and go for them absolutely relentlessly in a very anxious way because they understand that time is of the essence. Saturn, time, boundaries. They build brick by brick by brick. All right, so I think I'm gonna skip past some of this. SI knows history repeats. All that has happened before can happen again. SI's greatest gift is pattern recall across time. It remembers emotional cycles, relationship patterns, danger signals, ancestral lessons, generational trauma, and karmic repetitions. SI is the function of deja vu, actually. I've experienced so much of that. Instinctual forecasting, remembering what others forgot. I've seen this exact thing before. Let's see what else I want to say about it. SI is loyalty, honor, and duty. This function never forgets, never betrays, and never abandons. SI types are fiercely loyal, deep sense of duty, need for honor, commitment to promises, and long-term emotional bonds. So if this is pushed too far, they shut down, they detach, they are done forever, no reconciliation possible. Normally, they need consistency, accuracy, and rooted in truth. Building the internal library of Alexandria. They are the library of Alexandria. I can tell you that. I have 7,000 notes, 30 books written. You can call that the library of Alexandria, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. So SI builds its inner world through repeated experience, accuracy, predictability, stability, and internal references. It seeks stable routines, clear instructions, accurate information, sensory grounding, loyal relationships, and emotional consistency. The full definition of introverted sensing. So, reviewing past experiences, linking new things to old things, recognizing patterns across time, seeking familiarity, preserving tradition, replicating what worked, stabilizing through known standards, and grounding through memory. It aids growth by reminding us of lessons, showing consequences, preventing repeated mistakes, creating emotional security, and grounding intuition into reality. But it can also cause extreme stubbornness. I don't know any other archetype that is this stubborn. I can be so stubborn. I don't know anyone else as stubborn as myself. I can be extremely stubborn. Uh yeah, fear of change is a problem, inflexibility, nostalgia loops, rumination, repetitive memories, intrusive sensory flashbacks, and emotional paralysis can be a thing. SI gives access to body presence, inner stillness, grounded awareness, sensory silence, deep calm, and somatic healing. I could go on and on. Okay, so I can definitely go on and on. What am I at? I'm already at an hour, so I'm going to cut that there for now. Now we're going to move into introverted feeling child, quiet moral core. So FI child is the most misunderstood and most tender part of Capricorn. It is small, deeply sincere, and carefully guarded. Capricorn's values are not loud, performative, or endlessly explained. They are lived, intact, and proven over time. This function cares about integrity, fairness, earned trust, and moral consistency. Because FI child is vulnerable, Capricorn shields it with structure. When values are mocked, effort exploited, or sincerity dismissed, Capricorn hardens rapidly, not to punish others, but to protect what is sacred inside. That hardness is not cruelty, it is defense. I don't know why I keep closing this out here. Okay, let me pull this up again. Get a little bit deeper into FI, introverted feeling. I do need to write this book, and I'm excited to do it. I just have so much other work going on. Let me find this note here. Introverted feeling. There you are. Oh, I'm in the wrong. I can't actually click on that one. Okay, why can I not? That is actually kind of odd. Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm going through a 500-page book through my table of contents. I'm so organized, it's crazy. Introverted feeling. I am fearful, can be fearful of what I feel. Ooh. All right, so it is the moral decision-making function, personal good, bad judgments, subjective judgment values. So introverted feeling represents morals, your own morale, individual's belief, represents sympathy, not empathy, principles, very, very principled, weighing things out, has emotional responses to data outside. Hate to break it to you. FI takes time to form attachment. So it takes Capricorns quite a bit of time to actually trust others or even let them in. But when they do let other people in and they allow trust, it is very deep. They're all about figuring out who they are, what they want. They champion individuality for sure, emphasizing and defending the unique qualities of the individual, but they do show concern for life's underdogs, children, animals, and elderly. Let me get into having a hard time. Okay, so introverted feeling is the cognitive function responsible for moral judgment, personal values, and the inner compass of good versus bad. This is your conscience. Unlike extroverted feeling, which operates through collective ethics and social consensus, FI is deeply individualistic. So, this is why they are not worried about consensus. It's more based on their own morals, their decisions. So, FI is deeply individualistic. It evaluates situations through personal meaning, not public logic or majority rules, which that can TE is that way. But if I ask one central question, is this good or bad for me according to my own internal code? But they do care, obviously, generationally, they do deeply care about others. It is moral reasoning at its core. All right. It is tied to status, reputation, and worthiness. So they do get their worthiness from being helpful, holding things together. All right. Let me see if I gotta sneeze. Phew, bless me. I've been fighting a cold if you cannot tell. All right. Let me pull up. I actually broke down Capricorn. So Aquarius and Capricorn both have FI child. All right. So Capricorn's virtue is objectivity, the ability to weigh moral matters fairly using evidence. Their vice is the trivial, getting stuck on small emotional details, resentments, or judgments. At their best, they become grounded moral anchors, steady, loyal, thoughtful, and deeply caring beneath their controlled exterior. At their worst, they retreat behind routines and criticizing rather than connecting. Their growth emerges when they accept that feelings do not need to be efficient to be valid. So, Aquarians express emotion quietly, often through discipline, structure, or helpfulness. They show love by doing things for people, helping organize, fixing problems, or creating stability. So, healthy FI child for Capricorns or ISTJs weighs morality carefully, uses reason and evidence for fairness, has a grounded emotional world, demonstrates affection through reliability, protects loved ones through duty and loyalty, finds meaning in service and consistency. Unhealthy FI child gets lost in petty emotional details, becomes rigid or moralistic over small things, withholds affection, criticizes rather than connects, internalizes guilt or shame, becomes overly sensitive to small slights. Such a hardcore thing. It's a thing. Are you slighting me? Are you disrespecting me? That can be a thing. All right. So FI child thrives through clear expectations, emotional steadiness, and grounded routines. All right, so that's enough on that. Now we're going to go into NE, extroverted thinking or extroverted intuition, inferior. Uncertainty fatigue. NE inferior explains Capricorn's low tolerance for ambiguity. Endless hypotheticals, shifting narratives, emotional vagueness, and we'll see how it feels conversations create anxiety. Not because Capricorn fears change, but because they have learned that ambiguity often precedes abandonment. When rules keep changing, accountability dissolves and expectations are implied instead of explicit. Any inferior flares. This is why Capricorn insists on clarity. For them, clarity is not rigidity, it is safety. All right, so give me a moment to pull up my notes on extroverted thinking or extroverted intuition. Getting tired. I wasn't going to go this deep, but I feel like it because Capricorns are so misunderstood and I feel you so deeply. All right, so extroverted intuition is one of the most misunderstood cognitive functions. It represents metaphysics or future prescience in all futures. So it is in the inferior function. So this is what Capricorns are the least good at, so to speak. So, extroverted intuition is a cognitive function that perceives metaphysics, possibility, prescience, and the branching of what if timelines of the future. So, this is where their anxiety comes from. So, it is paired with introverted sensing on the NESI axis, which balances intuition, which is conceptual, abstraction, and non physical data, with sensation. Introverted sensing is sensation through memory, concrete, and lived experience. Together, this axis explains how people explore possibilities while anchored in what's already happened. So, possibilities, NE, what's already happened, SI. So, what is NE at its core? Objective intuition, perception. Information comes to you irrationally, like signals from the unseen world. Metaphysics, perceiving what exists behind physical reality. Prescience, sensing multiple possible futures at once. Potential energy, the what might be field in quantum mechanics. Collective unconscious, detecting ideas and patterns floating in the shared and mental atmosphere. Pattern recognition, merging trends across people, events, symbols, and timelines. What if thinking, limitless scenario generation. Desire detection, picking up on what people secretly want. Trend forecasting, reading where situations or people are heading. How any works. Any expands outward. Extroverted intuition expands outward, scanning for connections, emerging patterns, alternate interpretations, future past, hidden meaning, options, and opportunities. So, it is good at interpreting situations and relationships, picking up meaning and inner connections, being drawn to change what is for what possibly could be, noticing what is not said and threads of meaning emerging across multiple contexts. All right, so let me get into the inferior here. I do break down each cognitive function within the 12 personalities, so I'm scrolling through massive amounts of information. Parent, child, inferior, introverted, feeling. Whoops, did I skip it? Did I not break that down? Yeah, that's interesting. Give me one moment here. Oh, I went too far. Where is this at? I don't know if I actually broke this one down in this book. Or did I just scroll too far? Interesting. Okay, so I do need to update that section. Note to self. That's okay. So I haven't actually broken down. This is the only one that I haven't yet. All right. So I need to get into that deeper. So that will be the conclusion for that function for now. All right. So final integration truth. Okay, we've got Jupiter and inferior. So I actually kind of, I'm going to be doing some sideline work here because I need to break that down more. Capricorn can definitely understand that they can find wisdom. They find it goes right back into SI, hero, and Saturn, understanding the time history repeats itself. The Jupiter is the wisdom, the expansion of meaning and wisdom. Yeah, it's just a constant anxiety of there's not enough time on this planet to understand I have researched so many different systems, generationally, institutionally, religions. Oh, so many different systems. It's just a constant anxiety to try to understand as much as I can historically, where are we going into the future? It's just such a thing. Very, very scholarly, duty bound personality. It's relentless. I have been relentless my entire life. All right, so final integration truth. Capricorn is not the villain of rigidity. Capricorn is the guardian of continuity. This archetype holds civilization together when people want comfort without cost, care without structure, and freedom without responsibility. When containment is present, Capricorn becomes one of the most stabilizing, humane, and quietly loving forces in the room. When containment is absent, Capricorn becomes what people fear, not because they want to, but because someone has to hold the line. Hold the line. One of my favorite sayings of all time. Hold the freaking line. And Capricorn has always been willing to do that, whether anyone thanks them or not. All right, so that is the conclusion of this video. It went a lot longer than I thought. I do still need to write my 200 plus ebook on this personality type. It is the next major personality type book that I will be writing. So look for that in the future. I certainly hope that this has helped you understand yourself a little bit better. And yeah, like and subscribe. Feel free to comment your thoughts or feelings, may I ask, on this video. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, y'all.